Welcome back to the Pigskin Podcast, a very special edition of the Pigskin Podcast. I'm Ben Pherson. This guy over here is Jason Feldman.
Stop eating your dinner so you can talk.
I was trying to eat, and these guys interrupted me to do this, like I said, special edition.
Is it special?
Well, I mean, it's a different time. I guess it's special. It is playoff time for high school football. Area teams are hitting the field on Wednesday for the first round of games. I'm excited. I mean, I'll be more excited in the semifinals, but there's some good games this week,
Me too. I get to leave the office when the semifinals come.
Oh, Mr. My Team has a bye.
My team has a bye.
Nice. I'm impressed. But let's quick touch on the Gophers for sure.
I didn't watch a second of it.
That's why they probably dominated the game,
I should just
guess.
stop watching.
Yeah.
I was on my way up to the Wild game. I flipped on the radio and I heard, 31-8 or something, and I thought, oh boy, that's another train wreck. Turns out they were winning.
Yeah.
Who knew?
That's what they do. It was a great weekend for Minnesota football. The Vikings didn't lose, and the Gophers won. So, good weekend. We'll start with the Gophers. We can touch on Vikes, and you can talk maybe a little bit about what's coming up here this week. But Gophers running game, Brooksy, man, is he good. He's so good. You know, they're starting to get some guys stepping up on that offensive line, too, after being so banged up and just kind of being a revolving door, literally and figuratively on that.
So you watched the game. You tell me how much of a difference against Purdue was the opponent, the fact that Purdue was the opponent, and how much of it was the Gophers just playing better?
I think that it was a very big difference. Because when your quarterback still can't throw for 60 yards, I think that's an issue.
That's my concern.
Well, my concern is yes, Brooks is an incredible back, and now we know that for sure. I mean, you can't watch that game and not realize how special that kid is. But any good football team can stop one guy. I don't care who it is, what team we're talking about. But you start playing in Ohio State or someone like that, guess what? You're not going to win with one guy. You're not going to win with just running the football either. You're going to have to throw at some point, and I don't even think it's going to take that good a team. I think they still need to figure out how to throw that football, and I don't know that Mitch Leiner's the guy to do that.
How did Leidner look when he did throw? Was it a case of him still not looking good, or was it sort of like the Vikings have been at times where they didn't necessarily need Teddy Bridgewater to throw a football to win the game?
I don't think he looked horrible. It wasn't enough of a sample size for me to say good game. He made a couple good throws. I thought he actually made a couple good throws, and I don't say that very often about him. So he did make a couple, but he still missed a couple. And if the accuracy ever comes around, I think he can make the throws. He's just got to be more accurate.
So what happens on Saturday if he comes out and stinks up the joint in the first half?
I don't know.
Will the home crowd turn on Jerry Kill?
Oh, absolutely, they will. I think we've already gotten to that point. But the problem is, we've already seen what does he have to do to get a spot on the bench? What does Mitch Leidner have to do?
Right.
He hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what
still the question.
I don't know what he can do, but I don't want to focus too much on that game. Or it was a great game. It's a
win they had to have, though. If they had lost that game,
season's
forget
done.
about it.
It's going to be hard. Yeah, it would be hard to watch the rest of that year if they don't win that football game. But your Vikings were on a bye week.
Good week.
They did not lose. They didn't make any bad plays.
And you know what? They couldn't have picked a better Sunday to be on a bye because I get to be outside flying kites with the kids. Just, enjoying an 80-degree Sunday in the middle of October instead of watching the Vikings.
We go to the park every day, though. But, so what do they got this coming week? Who are they playing this weekend?
We have the reeling Kansas City Chiefs.
Jamal Charles, torn ACL.
Or not Jamal Charles. I don't even know what the backup's name is.
Niall Davis?
Well,
but there's I know.
They have another guy.
They're saying that, but I don't buy it. I think Niall Davis is going to still. The thing is, Niall Davis isn't big enough to be an every down back, but I still think he gets 10 to 12 carries and 6-7 catches a game because he's got the speed to take it to the house every time he touches the ball.
I did watch a little bit of that Bears-Chiefs game. You want to talk about a couple of bad football teams going at it?
How did Kansas City fall off that hard?
I don't know. The passing game is a disaster. I mean, they didn't throw a touchdown to a wide receiver at all last year, and I don't know if they have any this year. They probably do. But
Jeremy Macklin's, and he's having a good year. He's having a really good year, not scoring touchdowns, but he's having a good year. I think Niall Davis is fine. I think he's just a small. He's small, and that's why he can't be a 20-carry guy, and that's why they're, I'm sure, looking at the other guy. But it's a very winnable game for sure for the Vikings.
It's a game that, if the Vikings are the team that they think they can be, they have to win this game. I mean, there's no choice. They have to do to Kansas City what they did to San Diego a few weeks ago. Just come out, punch them in the mouth, and win by a couple touchdowns. Speaking of punching, did you see what they did with Xavier Rhodes in practice?
I did. Put boxing gloves on him so he stops holding everyone.
I don't know if that's legal to wear during an actual game. It would be interesting to see. It'd be kind of hard to tackle.
I would guess so.
I'll be interested to see how they use him against Kansas City. You mentioned Macklin. Maybe this is one of those games where they can move him around a little bit, not necessarily have to keep him on one receiver the whole time.
I'd be way more worried about Travis Kelce than even than Jeremy Macklin.
And we know the Vikings don't necessarily do a good job of stopping tight ends either.
He might have a big day. Yeah. I honestly think Niall Davis is going to have a big day. I think catching the ball.
So?
I do. I think
catching the ball.
Catching the ball.
That's fair.
Like I said, he's a better a guy in that respect. And I just think you get him out on the edge and he can run by a lot of guys.
We don't have Gerald Hodges at the second level anymore.
You're right. That monster trade.
I figured that would make you happy. We've got an all UCLA linebacker crew now when we go nickel.
I'm all right with that.
Barr and Kendricks. That's good. Hey, why not? Let the young guys get out there and make some plays and
there's no question
see what they can and can't.
Barr's physical gifts.
And I think Kendricks has been much better each week. I think he's improved and progressed.
I figured he would. He was, like I said, when they got him, I thought he was more NFL ready than even Anthony Barr, just because he's a better read and react kind of guy. He doesn't have the physical gifts that Barr has.
Yeah, but he won't make the splashy plays that Barr makes necessarily, but that's not what they want him to do either. So.
Right.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's get rid of that stuff. Let's focus on high school. Huge week of high school football.
Yeah. We tied last week.
That's good for you.
Well,
so you didn't fall behind anymore.
I didn't fall behind anymore. I'm still 2 games
We both
down.
went 5-2 last week, so I still have a 2-game lead over Feldy for the season.
And this week will be a tough week to make up ground. When
I think you should try. All upsets.
If I try, then we might as well just shut it down.
Probably. But do you want to do our players of the week before we do our
let's
picks
get
here?
into that. Let me go first since mine is super important.
Well,
more importanter than yours. Is that a word? We just make up words here sometimes. I'm going to go north. We, both you and I picked against...
Minneapolis North? You can't pick guys from there.
I can't?
No.
Is that not allowed?
No.
All right, well, I'll stop.
Not North Dakota either.
I'll stop halfway then.
All right.
Cannon Falls. We both picked against them last week at home against La Crescent. Maybe did we give the Bombers some motivation?
Frog stomp La Crescent. I don't even know how that happens.
40-8.
I'd like to hear the story of that game because Cannon Falls has been a very good defensive team. They haven't put up a ton of points on people, and La Crescent has thrown the ball very well. Even in their losses, they move the ball fairly well.
Well, and that win gave Cannon Falls, as we'll talk about here in a little bit, that win gave Cannon Falls a home playoff game. La Crescent's coming right back to town. But anyways, my player of the week is Mason Hofstedt, their running back, junior, 6'1", 185. All he did was carry for 222 yards and 3 touchdowns on 24 carries. It's a pretty good night.
That's good. Yeah. Those are good.
Good numbers. Good so my guess is La Crescent knows who they have to stop this week now if they want to move on.
Who?
The Bombers.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mason Hofstedt.
My player of the week, there's a lot of good choices again. There are a lot of big weeks.
Always is.
A lot of good games, and you don't even know who my player. I didn't even tell you coming in who my player of the week is. I made a big deal of him after last week, and I have no numbers to back up my claim for this guy to be my player of the week, but I'm going to go with it. Garret Nosbisch, the defensive tackle from Stewartville. Mm-hmm. The kid is a monster. He's listed at 6 foot 210. And I'm telling you, that kid I would have guessed he was 3 bills. The way he plays in the middle of that
line they have is pretty nice. You look at all those guys, and you would think that the whole line plays like a bunch of 300-pound guys, but they're all just like that, just the super strong guys that look like they could step on a wrestling mat and just pin people down with one arm.
It's kind of fun talking to Jordan Johnson about Nosbisch and what he means to the middle of that defense. It means that Jordan Johnson gets to do whatever he wants. It means he gets to flow around that field and go wherever the football is and doesn't have to worry about blockers because Garret Nosbisch has eaten up all of them. And I might mean that literally.
To see, well, Pat Ruff did that notebook item on Stewartville earlier, and you were talking about them eating mustard on the sideline to get some energy back up.
Kid eats a lot of mustard.
Does he do that? Does he maybe just bring the mustard out on the field with him and eat up opposing running backs?
He could probably do what he ever wants.
Probably could if he wanted to.
I had Pat Ruff put Nosbisch's mugshot in the paper on Friday, and I think...
Why not?
And Pat's quote was, "Ooh, he looks rugged." So
Garret, it's one way to put it.
Rugged Nosbisch. I think that Stewartville team, I was glad to finally get to see them in person and defensively, good luck. I mean, good luck scoring on that team. The numbers that, I put them all in that game story, but the numbers they've done The one that
Ridiculous.
30,
That
38,
defense is
38
insane.
points all
My
year is
goodness.
incredible in itself, but here's the insane thing to me is they've given up 7 first half points this season. That means with starters in, they've given up 7
So I was
points
going to
this
say, you're looking at what their starters can do right there.
That's pretty
Can I
crazy.
give a shout out to the Stewie football team, by the way, for giving me their Ric Flair award last week?
I don't even want
You're
to talk
jealous,
about that.
aren't
Joey
you?
Thompson,
Thanks.
coming for you.
Thanks, Stewie.
You better win a state wrestling title this year, Joey Thompson, if you're going to make up for giving this guy the Ric Flair over me. I need a Scott Hall.
I earned it.
I want a Scott Hall. Hey, yo.
Maybe they could get like
Scott Hall
maybe
next
they could get one of the big linemen to do that.
Nosbisch,
think?
maybe. He's gonna
He
be.
might eat
He's
you.
gonna be my guy now, Joey Thompson. You're out. You're cut.
Joey Thompson might send Nosbisch to eat you if you keep talking like that.
All right, fine.
Let's move on.
Anyway, yeah.
What are we going to do?
Are we
here?
gonna do picks, or do you want to talk about playoff brackets? You can talk brackets real
Should
quick.
we talk brackets first
Yeah.
and then get into our picks? Let's
Sure.
start with 9-man. I mean, do we need to? Really?
No, just let's
But
skip to the rematch.
The Grand Meadow Spring Grove, that game was everything we thought it would be last week, wasn't it? I mean,
How
that's,
about the
that's the one
voters
we
in the
talked about.
9-man poll?
Yeah.
Are they
Somebody's
ridiculous? The number 2 team lost to the number 1
By a
team
point.
by a point, and you move them to number 4.
at the number 1 team's field. Then they dropped down to number 4.
Some guys I want to just
Yeah.
like the guy who keeps there's 2 guys voting for Pipestone
At
as the
Caledonia.
number 1 over Caledonia. I would love for those 2 teams to play so we can see if Caledonia can score 100 points.
Pipestone is where, kind of in the southwest part of the state?
Over.
That strikes me as probably 2 guys voting in the southwest part of the
Could
state.
be. It could be. I'm not going to speculate, but it could be.
I will.
Anyway, all right. So 9
So we
man.
know Grand Meadow, Spring Grove, barring some sort of major upset, that's the...
And that's not a knock because
No, I know.
I
That's,
think
that's probably the 2 best teams in the state.
you look at Mabel and Houston, and they're not bad this year. You know,
Right.
I mean, they're just in a conference
Yep.
with 2 ridiculously good football teams.
Yep.
So we'll move out of 9 man.
Okay.
I think we know what's cracking.
1A,
there.
this could be a really interesting section to watch with Fillmore
'Cause I have
Central.
no idea who's winning.
Yeah,
that section.
Fillmore Central gets the top seed as a 7-1 team. They will get either Wabasha-Kellogg or Hayfield.
Yeah. I think they should be all right getting into the
But
finals there. But the other side of the bracket,
Yeah, look at that potential
RP
2-3 matchup.
versus Goodhue again. Mm-hmm. Let's do that game again. I'm down for seeing that game again. That'll be a good game. So yeah, that's your 2 and 3 seeds.
So
I
then
think.
likely Fillmore Central awaits one of those 2.
Yeah.
And that championship game, by the way, played at a neutral site, like a lot of these sections.
That'll be
are
right
in
over
Mayo
here,
High School.
right? Yeah.
What do we got?
1
double?
3A. Oh, 2A. Excuse me.
Like
Caledonia.
this one too.
This is
Like this one too. Look at those top 3 seeds. Those are fun.
Lewiston is a darn good football team, but
Yeah, but they have to.
God,
Not only are they going to have to get past Triton if they win in the first round, but then they get to run into Caledonia in the second.
Well, that's the other
final.
one that I mean. Lewiston and Triton is a game I would love to see. That might be next week. That might be our game of the week. I'd say.
I don't know how it isn't.
If we name a game of the week, will you guys announce our names over the loudspeakers like
That
the
would be
local
awesome.
TV stations when they name
We
a game
should
of the
do
week?
that. Should we do that?
I will. And the only problem is we won't.
We won't. Somebody will be there. Maybe Limbeck.
It
will
won't be
there.
us though. Who cares if we don't get to hear it?
Yeah, that's true. We
All
want
right.
to be there, don't we? We don't want them announcing anything for Guy Limbeck.
Right. Caledonia versus Cotter should be.
Ugh. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Chatfield and Dover-Eyota.
That's a good game.
When the seedings came out on Saturday morning, and I looked down the list, I threw it out there on Twitter to local high school football fans, asking them what they thought the first round matchup was around here, and that was the one I picked, Chatfield and Dover-Eyota. They played way back in week 2, and Chatfield won 30-19, but Dover-Eyota's playing really well right now. I think Chatfield's 5 and
Is that
3.
foreshadowing to your upset that you're gonna
Maybe.
pick
We'll see.
right there?
We'll
But
see.
yeah,
I
I'd still look out for that Triton team. You know, I think Triton and Lewiston is the game to watch next week. It'll be a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Odd time for a game, but
But you know, with the way the weather's been, I don't mind this early start to the season now. We're getting into the playoffs. It's
standing there on
perfect
week 8,
football weather.
You know,
Isn't that great?
not freezing to death. That was nice. But all right, 1 AAA. That's my section. Tri-City United's the 1 seed. You know, their lone loss was to Marshall, who at the time was a top 5 team in 4A. And Tri-City United was out with some very key players due to suspension.
Isn't Marshall another one of those defenses that just hadn't given up points for the most
They
part?
don't play anybody over there, so I'm not going to give them too much credit. But then you go and lose to Belle Plaine. Now I know their starting quarterback
until
was
that
out,
game.
and I don't know how to say that kid that's committed to
I
the
don't
Gophers
know
last
either.
name, Hamuliuski or something.
Sure.
But
Go with it.
right.
Common
So
spelling.
this section could get interesting. To me, Tri-City United isn't your traditional 1 seed because they can get beat anywhere along the line.
Well,
I
look who's
won't
waiting
get
for them.
stunned
What
if Cannon
I
Falls
was going to say, what if Cannon
shuts them
Falls
down
goes
because
there?
One thing I've heard about Tri-City United is they're not great at throwing the football.
Okay.
So Cannon Fall, you're going to try to run against that Cannon Falls defense. It can be tough. That's not a bad defense. So Cannon Falls could be waiting for Tri-City United.
And in the bottom half of the bracket, that's not an easy first-round matchup for Lourdes necessarily either, though, facing Pine Island.
Good luck figuring out Pine Island.
Yeah, I know.
They beat Triton one week and then turn around and lose to Zimbrota.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I don't get it either. But potentially you could have that PEM Lourdes rematch. PEM took it to them the first time. I don't know. Does Lourdes want us to crack at them again?
Oh, you're darn right they do.
I bet they do.
I'm sure they do. But I'm sure Plainview would love to beat them again, too.
I bet
but,
they would.
I think Lourdes has some things to clean up. And you look at that game and they turn the ball over right away and Plainview scores off it. And Lourdes, it's not a knock on them. They're just not talented enough to turn the ball over a bunch and win football games.
You can't afford to do that, especially against really good teams.
Right.
Like that.
And Plainview is. They're a really good team. They play good defense, and obviously they have one of the best running backs in the area. So
Has Lourdes figured out its injury issues along the line?
Well, Borgeson's out, so it's figured out. Yep, he's done for the year, and that, even talking to Meyer last week from Stewartville, he said they knew that, and that's why I ran a lot of stuff right up the middle because we knew Borgeson wasn't there. And
that's a big loss.
Yes, definitely is. And you talk about a guy that eats up blockers. That's a guy that eats up blockers, and they need someone else to step up in that spot. Mm-hmm. But it's a good section. I think those semis are going to be very, very good.
Speaking of Stewartville, they get the 1 seed.
They do.
Class 4A.
Yep, and they get a bye in the first round. The 4-5 is KM and Byron. And, KM with Brady Berge back is a dangerous football team, and they're not using him at quarterback. They're kind of using him at that wing.
As they probably should.
Right.
Need his athleticism.
That freshman over there has really stepped up for Kasson at quarterback. That said, Byron has a very good defense. I think that's going to be a good, tight game right there. And then the Red Wing is the 3 seed. They shouldn't have any issues with Albert Lee. Winona is the 2 seed. They get a bye. I think Winona... I think they lucked out getting Red Wing instead of Kasson. I really do.
I don't know. I mean, even in Stewartville, I'm not going to pick Kasson-Mantorville to beat Stewartville. But
no.
For your first playoff game, that's probably not the team you want to see rolling into your field.
That's the thing. Stewartville is such a nice mix of size and speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It probably doesn't matter.
Jordan Johnson. I'm sure his 40 isn't great, but or not incredible. Mm-hmm. But his first 2 steps are just incredible. Like. His closing speed is just so good. He gets 2 steps very quickly, and the other guy, I didn't even mention him, Brandon Holt on that offense. My goodness, that kid can score every time he touches the football.
And they can throw the ball a little bit too.
They can. They don't necessarily have to, but they can.
They can.
And Quant's got a bunch of options to throw it. So good luck beating Stewartville. Yeah. Anyway, 1-5A.
Kind of shook out about like we thought it would. Owatonna and Mayo get the byes.
Yeah, you said Northfield was going to win the whole thing at the beginning of the year.
That's
How'd
what
they
the
do?
coaches told me.
Oh, okay.
They're the number 4 seed, but they took it to Mayo on Friday night, 24-7. I mean, they shut down Greg Henry. They did as good a job on him as anybody has done all year. They held him to 27 yards rushing. I mean, that's a feat.
Well, good coaches figure out ways to stop one guy. If you don't have someone else to beat someone.
And Mayo did throw for 250 yards in the game, but they just couldn't sustain that drive when they got into Northfield's end. They only got into the red zone 1 time.
JM gets Austin off the bat. Now, that was a 1-point game at halftime last?
Austin was ahead at halftime by a point, and JM just blew him out in the second half. But that's the thing with JM; you don't know what team's going to show up.
0-8 Austin is dangerous.
Could be that first half team or the second half team. If it's the second half team, JM will probably win again by 4 touchdowns. Austin is scoring a lot of points right now, but they are giving up a ton of points too.
They'll do that.
And by the way,
we're running out of time, so we got to rip through our
Century
picks
goes
here.
to Northfield in the other game there. Century beat Northfield.
We're picking that
a couple
game,
weeks,
so we'll talk about it.
Century beat Northfield a couple weeks ago in overtime. That's our first game on our list, so let's go right into it. Century beat Northfield at Century a couple weeks ago in overtime.
Me or you?
I'll start. The way Northfield played last week, from what I understand, they're getting guys healthy, particularly up front. I think they win, but Century has made a habit of hanging with some of the better teams, so I think Northfield wins 24-14.
21-20 Northfield. I think you're right. I think Northfield's I think they're improving, and they had a rough start to the year, but they look all right.
And I really believe in
it. At Northfield. I think that's a big deal.
That is a big deal. And I really believe in this section. Anybody could beat anybody.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Austin has hung with every team in that section. They can
hope someone beats Owatonna. Is that what you're trying to say?
We'll get to that.
All right, so we're both on Northfield.
We're both on Northfield.
Going to 1-4A, Byron at Kasson. It's my pick first. I am not picking against Kasson right now, not with Berge back and that freshman quarterback figuring it out, and got another Berge over there who's pretty good too, Aaron Berge, Noah Ryan, Bigelow, all the wrestlers. wrestlers win, and that's what I'm going with. Kasson, 30-20.
I agree with you. Just can't pick against Kasson right now.
Next week I will.
And that's right. Right, and that's no knock on Byron. Like you talked about the defense that Byron can play.
They do play.
And I think Byron's defense actually might hold Kasson down here this week. But I think Kasson-Mantorville wins 24-12.
The Crescent at Canton Falls. Feldy?
Me first? Well, they showed it last week. I don't know, after, Cannon Falls beat them 40-8 last week. I don't know how I can pick against Cannon Falls at home against the Crescent after doing that. I'll take the Bombers 36-26.
So a lot closer, you're saying?
Yeah, the Crescent's offense, I think, is good enough that it can't be held down like that 2 weeks in a row.
I'll go 35-14 Cannon Falls. You're not making up any ground yet.
Not yet.
Dover-Eyota at Chatfield. Feldy, you just put this game on to torture me.
Yeah, you're up first. You go ahead.
I'm going Chatfield. I figured you were going Dover, so I'll go Chatfield 21-14. I think that's the game of the week to me.
I think so. And like we said, these teams played in week 2. Chatfield won by a couple of scores, but I think Dover-Eyota is playing better football now than they were at that point in the season, which I guess is every team's goal, right? I got to make up ground on you somewhere, and if I'm looking for a lower seed to upset a higher seed, this is the pick. Dover-Eyota 27-24.
All right.
This next one is good
you're up
too.
first on this one.
Section 2 of Class A. Blooming Prairie is only the 3 seed over there at 6-2. They get United South Central, a 4-4 team in the first round. When these teams played in the regular season, it was only an 18-6 game for Blooming Prairie. I think the Blossoms win, and I think again they don't put up a lot of points. Low scoring game, 16-6 Blooming Prairie.
And USC just fired their coach, Yeah,
I saw that. Sarkeesian.
Yeah, you're not supposed to drink on the field, I guess.
No, can't do that.
That's what
so there's a little turmoil in the USC locker room, is what you're saying.
Now these USC, they're the Rebels from Wells, so they're an old conference mate of mine. So I'm definitely not picking them.
So you're all over the Blossoms.
I'm all over the Blossoms, 21-0.
Wow.
Yeah. First shutout in Ben Pherson history, I think.
You're off the 35 kick this week.
Yeah, it worked out last week.
All right,
But,
Section 1.
Hayfield at Wabasha-Kellogg. I think
5 against 4.
I picked the Vikings last time, and then I lost a
remember if I
game
did
in the
or not.
standings to Feldy, so I got to go with Wabasha-Kellogg. The Wolf of Wabasha will have a big game. We'll go 29-6.
29-6. All right. Yep, I'm with you on that too. I like the Wolf factor in that game. I think Wabasha wins 28-13.
Now the one that I know you'll get wrong. Lanesboro at Houston.
Doesn't matter.
4-4 Lanesboro at 5-3 Houston. I'm going Houston. Is it my pick first? Because I'm picking Houston. So we only have one different?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess
So I'm going Houston 35
to
15.
I should have expected that. Yeah, Houston and Lanesboro. This is another rematch of 2 teams that played last week. Houston won that one by 3 touchdowns. So I'm going to take the Hurricanes once again, 38-24. And yes, we only have one difference, so I'll be 1 game back of you a week from today when we record again.
3, I think.
I think I said 1.
3. Anyway, good luck, guys, on Wednesday
that'll
night.
do it.
It makes me sick that the high school football season's almost over. There's nothing better than
But it's playoff time.
It is.
I love the playoffs.
And it's still decent weather, except today is a
Take
little
it.
cruddy. But anyway, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We will probably do another special edition type show next week with a goofy schedule.
We'll be back early next week again.
Watch
Probably twice next week, actually, with the section finals.
Watch our Twitter feed. We'll let you know when we're coming back next week. And good luck on Wednesday night, guys.